The greatest diplomatic crisis in galactic history was about to begin, and Ambassador Sujin did not even realize it. She piloted her ship toward the galactic capital with the same casual confidence that all humans showed when dealing with impossible situations. Her ship, the Gentle Current, existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously. To the traffic controllers at the capital, it appeared as a shifting shadow that their sensors could not properly track. Every few seconds it seemed to be in a completely different location. Unknown vessel, please identify yourself and maintain standard approach vectors, came the increasingly frustrated voice of traffic control. This is Ambassador Sujin of the Human Collective, she replied cheerfully. I am here for the diplomatic meeting. Ambassador, your ship is it. We cannot get a proper reading on your position. Oh, sorry about that. We are running dimensional stability at baseline 7. Let me adjust to your local space-time. The Gentle Current flickered and suddenly appeared as a solid, normal-looking vessel. The traffic controllers breathed sighs of relief. Much better. Please proceed to Diplomatic Dock 7. What they did not know was that Sujin had not actually changed anything important about her ship. She had simply adjusted which dimensional layer was visible to their sensors. The ship was still existing in multiple realities at once. Inside the Galactic Council chambers, Diplomatic Corps leader J1 was dealing with the biggest crisis of his career. Representatives from 300 species were demanding answers about humanity that no one could provide. The humans claim to be peaceful, declared Senator Kixma of the Rigid Order Worlds. But they have technology that could end our civilization overnight. They have shown no hostile intent, countered Dr. Yelna of the Science Collective. Every encounter has been friendly and helpful. That makes them more dangerous, not less, insisted General Haxvo. Species that see us as pets are worse than species that see us as enemies. J1 rubbed his tired eyes. 3 weeks of debate had resolved nothing. The humans remained an unknown quantity with impossible abilities. Perhaps we should ask them directly, suggested Ambassador Myung. They have agreed to send a representative. And what if their representative casually demonstrates that they could erase our solar system? Asked Senator Kixma. Some knowledge is too dangerous to seek. At that moment, the chamber doors opened, and Ambassador Sujin walked in. She looked remarkably normal. Medium height, dark hair, friendly smile. She could have been any of a dozen humanoid species, except for the device she carried that seemed to bend light around itself. Hello, everyone, she said with genuine warmth. Thank you for inviting me. This is very exciting for us. The chamber fell silent. 300 of the galaxy's most powerful beings stared at the small human woman who represented a civilization that could reshape reality. Ambassador Sujin, J1 said formally, welcome to the Galactic Council. We have many questions about your people. I am sure you do. We have questions about you too. Your normal space physics are fascinating. We never realized anyone could build civilizations without dimensional folding. She spoke of their greatest achievements like interesting curiosities. Perhaps we could begin with basic information, J1 suggested. How large is human civilization? Sujin looked thoughtful. That is a difficult question. Our settlements exist across multiple dimensional layers, so traditional measurements do not work well. She activated her device, and a holographic map appeared above the chamber. It showed the galaxy, but not as anyone had ever seen it before. Instead of stars and planets, it showed flowing streams of energy connecting impossible spaces. These are the void currents we use for travel, she explained. Each intersection point can support a settlement. We currently maintain about, she paused to count. Maybe 40,000 active settlements? 40,000 settlements. The entire Galactic Council represented only 300 worlds. How many humans are there? Asked Chancellor Dockery. Again, difficult to measure. Some of our people exist in accelerated time streams, so they experience decades while we experience days. Others live in expanded space where single buildings can house millions. But if I had to estimate, she calculated silently, perhaps 50 billion currently active in baseline time. 50 billion. more than the total population of most galactic species. And you have been hidden from us all this time? Asked Senator Kixma suspiciously. Not hidden, Sujin replied. We just lived in different places. We knew about normal space civilizations, but we assumed you were not ready for contact. Not ready how? Well, you live in such rigid physical conditions. We worried that meeting us might be traumatic for species adapted to single-layer reality. They had been protecting the galaxy from culture shock. What changed your mind? Asked Dr. Yelna. Captain Wu Jin's encounter proved you were more adaptable than we thought. Your scientists showed genuine curiosity instead of just fear. That suggested you might be ready for broader contact. General Haxvo leaned forward. What are your intentions toward our civilizations? Su Jin looked puzzled. Intentions? We would like to learn about you, and perhaps share knowledge if you are interested. Why? What intentions should we have? The innocent question highlighted the gap between human and galactic thinking. Every species the Council knew had ambitions, territory to claim, resources to exploit, rivals to defeat. The humans seemed to want nothing except understanding. Some of our members are concerned about your military capabilities, Jae-won said carefully. Oh. Sujin nodded in understanding. You are worried we might hurt you. The possibility has been discussed. I can understand that concern. Our abilities must seem threatening if you are not used to dimensional physics. She touched her device again. The holographic display changed, showing what looked like a cosmic storm. This is a void leviathan, she explained, a creature that exists in deep dimensional layers and feeds on reality itself. One of these beings could consume your entire solar system without noticing. The image was terrifying, a thing of living darkness that moved through space eating stars and planets. Fortunately, they cannot enter normal space without help. We have been keeping them contained in the deep layers for about 800 years. The chamber erupted, in shocked voices. The humans had been protecting them from cosmic horrors for centuries. There are others, Sujin continued, changing the image again. Reality parasites that infect space-time itself. Probability storms that could turn your worlds into mathematical abstractions. Temporal predators that hunt by erasing their prey from history. Each new image was more terrifying than the last, and all of them were being held back by human intervention. We have always seen ourselves as guardians of normal space, Sujin explained. Your civilizations are unique and precious. We could not let them be destroyed by things they cannot fight. Chief Guardian Sangho's report had been accurate. Humanity had been running a neighborhood watch program on a galactic scale. Why? Whispered Ambassador Mi Young. Why protect us? Because you deserve to exist, Sujin replied simply. Every species has the right to develop in their own way, at their own pace. It would be wrong to let cosmic accidents destroy that potential. The debate that followed was unlike any in Council history. How do you negotiate with beings who see you as a protected species? How do you establish equality with guardians who have been keeping you safe without your knowledge? What do you want from us? Asked Jae-won finally. Friendship, if possible, Sujin replied. We have spent so long protecting normal space that we never really got to know the people living in it. Your approach to physics, your social structures, your art and culture, all of it is fascinating to us. And in return, nothing. Well, except perhaps permission to visit sometimes. We promise to be careful not to disrupt your societies. They wanted nothing except the chance to be tourists in the galaxy they had been protecting. Engineer Insu, who had been quietly observing from the gallery, approached the main floor. If I may, he said politely, I would like to address some of the technical concerns that have been raised. Jae-won nodded permission. Some of your scientists have asked about learning our physics, Insu continued. This is possible, but it requires fundamental changes in how you think about reality. He activated a small device that projected complex equations into the air. These are the basic formulas for dimensional folding. As you can see, they assume that space and time are fluid rather than fixed. Most normal space minds find this concept difficult to accept. Dr. Velson studied the equations with growing excitement. Is this why your technology seems impossible to us? Exactly. You have built your science on the assumption that reality has fixed rules. We built ours on the assumption that reality is negotiable. Could you teach us? We can try. But fair. Warning. The learning process tends to change how students see everything. Some people find this disturbing. We are willing to try, Dr. Velson said eagerly. Then we will establish educational exchanges. Perhaps some of your people could visit our settlements, and some of ours could study in your universities. As the formal session ended, the delegates found themselves in small groups discussing the implications of humanity's revelation. They have been watching over us like parents watching children, observed Senator. Battle Commander Hyun Woo of the Krex Empire stared at the tactical display with cold satisfaction. 12 heavy cruisers surrounded the dancing bear in perfect attack formation. The human ship sat calmly at the void edge, apparently unaware of the danger. All ships report ready, announced his tactical officer. Hyun Woo had spent weeks planning this operation. The Krex Empire had decided that human technology was too dangerous to remain in alien hands. If diplomacy could not secure it, then force would have to do. Remember, Hyun Woo addressed his fleet. We want the ship intact. Disable only. We need their technology. The plan was simple. Overwhelm the single human vessel with superior numbers and firepower. Capture the crew and force them to reveal their secrets. The humans had shown no weapons during previous encounters, so they probably relied on their reality manipulation for defense. But Hyun Woo had a counter for that. His ships carried experimental reality stabilizers, copied from incomplete scans of human devices. They would lock local space into normal physics, preventing the humans from using their dimensional tricks. Activate stabilizers, he ordered. Across the Krex fleet, the stabilizer devices hummed to life. Space around the dancing bear shimmered as reality became rigid and locked. Stabilizers are active. Reality manipulation should be impossible in this area. Hyun Woo smiled grimly. All ships open fire, disable that vessel. 12 warships unleashed their weapons at once. Energy beams and particle cannons filled space with deadly light. The combined firepower could have destroyed a small moon. The weapons reached the dancing bear and passed right through it. What happened? Hyun Woo demanded. Unknown, sir. All weapons missed the target. How do you miss a target that size? On the dancing bear's bridge, Captain Woo Jin sighed as he watched the energy beams pass harmlessly around his ship. Well, that is disappointing, he said to his crew. I hoped they would be more reasonable. Weapons Officer Ji-hai looked up from her console. Should I return fire, Captain? No, Woo Jin replied firmly. They are probably scared. Fear makes people do foolish things. We should try to de-escalate. They are charging weapons for another attack, reported Navigator Seung-min. Then we need to contain the situation before someone gets hurt. What the Krex did not understand was that their reality stabilizers were having no effect. Human technology did not manipulate reality. It used reality manipulation as a side effect of working with natural forces that existed in void space. Stopping humans from affecting reality was like trying to stop fire from being hot.
Ji-hai, please adjust our phase variance, Captain Woo Jin ordered. Make sure their weapons cannot reach us. Already done, Captain. We are currently existing about 2 degrees off their reality baseline. To the Krex fleet, the dancing bear appeared solid and real.
But the human ship was actually existing in a slightly different layer of space-time. The weapons were firing at where the ship appeared to be, not where it actually was. Seung-min, create a containment field around the attacking ships, Captain. Woo Jin continued. We cannot let them hurt themselves or escape to cause trouble elsewhere. Working on it, Captain. The Krex fleet suddenly found itself unable to move. Not because engines had failed, but because space itself had become sticky around them. They could fire weapons and operate systems, but they could not change position. We are trapped, reported Hyun Woo's navigation officer. Some kind of spatial distortion field. Impossible. The stabilizers should prevent that. The stabilizers are working perfectly, sir. This is not reality manipulation. This is something else. Captain Woo Jin opened a communication channel to the Krex fleet. Commander, Please stop shooting at us, you are going to hurt someone. Surrender, humans, Hyunwoo replied angrily. You are outnumbered 12-1. I understand you are upset, Woojin said patiently. But violence is not necessary. We can discuss your concerns peacefully. We have no intention of discussing anything. Surrender your technology or face destruction. Captain Woojin looked around his bridge. His crew watched him with calm expressions. They had faced hostile species before, though rarely ones quite this unreasonable. I am sorry you feel that way, Woojin said sadly. But we cannot allow you to threaten peaceful beings. We threaten who we choose, Hyunwoo snarled. Fire all weapons, continuous barrage. The Krex fleet opened fire again. This time they maintained constant fire, filling space with enough energy to melt asteroids. The weapons passed harmlessly around the dancing bear like water around a stone. Captain, Jihai said quietly, should I disable their weapons? Can you do it without harming the crews? Of course. A simple probability adjustment should cause their power systems to malfunction. Do it, but be gentle. Jihai touched her controls. Across the Krex fleet, weapon systems began shutting down, not from damage but from an endless series of minor malfunctions. Power couplings came loose. Cooling systems hiccuped. Targeting computers forgot how to lock onto targets. What is happening? Hyunwoo demanded as his ship's weapons went silent. All systems are malfunctioning simultaneously, reported his engineer. It is like the ship is falling apart. Run diagnostics. Diagnostics show all systems are perfect. They just will not work. This was the humans' approach to warfare. They did not destroy enemies. They simply made it impossible for enemies to function as enemies. Try ramming them, Hyunwoo ordered desperately. His helmsman tried to engage. Engines. Nothing happened. Engines are offline. Restart them. They are running perfectly. We are just not moving. The Krex fleet found itself floating helplessly while the dancing bear sat unchanged. Their weapons would not fire, their engines would not push, and their communications could only reach each other. Captain Woojin opened another channel. Commander, this is accomplishing nothing. Please let us talk reasonably. You have made us helpless, Hyunwoo replied bitterly. I have made you safe, Woojin corrected. You cannot hurt anyone now, including yourselves. What do you want from us? Nothing. I want you to stop trying to hurt people and go home peacefully. This was not how warfare was supposed to work. Enemies were supposed to make demands. Seize territory, steal resources. They were not supposed to neutralize threats and then ask politely for everyone to calm down. If we agree to leave, Hyunwoo said carefully, will you release us? Of course. Though I should mention that your reality stabilizers are very interesting. We would like to study them if you do not mind. The Krex commander was confused. The humans could easily capture his fleet and take whatever they wanted. Instead, they were asking permission to study captured technology. Why? We are curious how you built devices to do something impossible, Woojin explained. Your stabilizers are trying to lock space-time into a single state, but that should not work. Yet they are functioning anyway. It is fascinating. Scientific curiosity. Even after being attacked, the humans were more interested in learning than in winning. You may study them, Hyunwoo said quietly. Thank you. Oh, and while you are here, our medical officer noticed some health issues among your crews. Would you like us to fix those? Medical Officer Yoojin had been monitoring the Krex ships throughout the encounter. As a human doctor, she automatically looked for ways to help even among enemies. What kind of health issues? Hyunwoo asked suspiciously. Genetic disorders mostly. Your species has some inherited problems that are easily corrected. We could fix them while you are here. The offer of free medical treatment to enemies they had just defeated was so unexpected that Hyunwoo did not know how to respond. You would heal us? After we attacked you? Of course, you are living beings. We do not let people suffer if we can help. Over the next few hours, human medical teams transferred to the Krex ships. They worked quickly and efficiently, correcting genetic flaws that had plagued the Krex species for millennia. Diseases that Krex medicine considered incurable were fixed with simple genetic adjustments. When the work was done, Captain Wu Jin released the spatial containment field. "You are free to go," he announced. "Please try to avoid attacking people in the future." The Krex fleet found their engines working perfectly. They could leave whenever they wanted. "Commander," one of Hyunwoo's officers whispered. "What do we do now?" Hyunwoo stared at the dancing bear. By all military logic, he should retreat and report failure, but something had changed during the encounter. "Open a channel to the human ship," he said finally. "Captain Wu Jin," Hyunwoo said when the channel opened. I apologize for attacking you." "No need to apologize," Wu Jin replied cheerfully. "You were afraid. Fear makes people do things they normally would not do. You could have destroyed us easily." "Yes, but why would we want to do that? You are not evil people. You were just scared and confused." Hyunwoo felt something he had never experienced before. Shame at his own aggression. Perhaps, we could talk more peacefully in the future." "We would like that very much," Wu Jin agreed. "There is so much we could learn from each other." As the Krex fleet departed, Hyunwoo's officers sat in stunned silence. "Commander," his tactical officer finally said, "they treated us like children having a tantrum." "Yes," Hyunwoo replied thoughtfully, "and maybe that is exactly what we were." The news of the encounter spread quickly through galactic space. The Krex Empire, known for their military might, had been defeated. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any in recorded history. Representatives from 300 species filled the great chamber, all talking at once. Fear and excitement crackled through the air like electricity. Ambassador Mi-young of the Harmony Coalition stood at her podium trying to maintain calm. As a diplomat, she had handled many crises, but nothing had prepared her for this. "Order," she called out. "Please, we must have order." The chamber slowly quieted. 300 pairs of eyes turned toward the central display, where images from the dancing bear played in an endless loop. Reality anchors hummed. Probability adjusters glowed. Humans smiled and waved as they casually broke the laws of physics. "The reports have been verified," Mi-young announced. "The humans are real. Their technology works as described. And they have been living in the void zones for 800 years. A roar of voices erupted again. Some delegates shouted in excitement. Others called for immediate military action. A few simply sat in stunned silence. Military strategist Dongwu of the Krex Empire stood and demanded attention. The Krex were a warrior species, bred for conquest. Dongwu was typical of his kind, tall, armored, and aggressive. "This changes everything," he declared. "These humans have technology beyond our understanding. They could destroy us all. Or they could be our greatest allies," countered Dr. Yelna of the Science Collective. "Think of what we could learn from them. Think of what they could do to us," Dongwu shot back. "They manipulate reality itself. They could erase entire worlds without effort." The fear in his voice spread through the chamber. Many species had built their entire civilizations around the assumption that the void zones were impassable barriers. Now they learned that those barriers were actually highways for an unknown civilization. Captain Kyung-soo of the Galactic Defense Force activated a holographic display. "Our intelligence suggests the human population is much larger than initially believed." The display showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red dots marked known void zones, areas that had been considered empty death traps. But now the dots were connected by glowing lines showing the routes humans used to travel between them. "If these routes are accurate," Captain Kyung-soo continued, "then humans have settlements throughout the galaxy. They have been surrounding us for centuries without our knowledge." The implications hit the delegates like a physical blow. The galaxy they thought they knew was actually filled with an advanced civilization that could travel anywhere instantly. "How many of them are there?" asked Chancellor Dockery of the Neutral Worlds. "We do not know," Captain Kyung-soo admitted. "The humans speak of thousands of ships, but they seem casual about exact numbers. Their population could be in the millions. Or billions. A species with billions of members, all living in impossible space, all equipped with reality bending technology." The thought made even the bravest delegates nervous. "What do they want?" shouted someone from the back of the chamber. That is the strange part, Mi Young replied. They do not seem to want anything. They claim they are just curious about us. This answer satisfied no one. Every species in the galaxy wanted something: territory, resources, power. The idea of a civilization that explored just for curiosity was alien to most delegates. Perhaps they are lying, suggested Dongwu. Perhaps they are studying us for invasion. Or perhaps they are telling the truth, Mi Young countered. Their behavior suggests genuine curiosity, not hostile intent. The debate raged for hours. Some delegates wanted immediate contact to learn human technology. Others demanded military preparation against a possible threat. A few suggested trying to restrict human access to normal space. During a break in the session, Mi Young found herself in a private meeting with the Council's senior advisors. The mood was grim. The military analysis is troubling, reported General HFY of the Defense Command. Based on what we have seen, human technology could neutralize our entire fleet without effort. How? Asked Chancellor Dockery. Probability adjustment alone makes them nearly invincible, General HFY explained. They could simply adjust the probability that our weapons malfunction, or that our ships lose power, or that our crews forget how to fight. The idea of an enemy that could make their own forces forget how to fight was terrifying. What about their weaknesses? Mi Young asked. Every technology has limits. We have found none, General HFY admitted. They seem to have solutions for every problem. When reality becomes unstable, they anchor it. When space is too small, they expand it. When physics do not work, they change the physics. Meanwhile, in the Krex Empire's military headquarters, Dongwu was having a very different meeting. Must act quickly, he told his commanders. Before these humans become a greater threat. How do we fight beings who control reality? Asked General Felko. We study them, find their weaknesses, then strike before they realize we are a threat. Dongwu activated a secure hologram. The image showed the dancing bear sitting calmly at the void edge. They trust us, he said. They believe we are primitive and harmless. We must use that trust to get close to their technology. And then we take it, one way or another. Back on the dancing bear, the humans were having their own discussions about the galactic reaction. Engineer Yoon-ji looked up from her work on a dimensional stabilizer. Captain Wu Jin, the normal space people seem very excited about our technology. Yes, they do, the captain agreed. I think we underestimated how different our capabilities are from theirs. Dr. So Young joined the conversation. Some of them seem frightened. Their questions suggest they see our abilities as weapons. That is unfortunate, Captain Wu Jin said thoughtfully. We should probably be more careful about what we demonstrate. Should we contact the council? Suggested Junho. Let them know we are not a threat? We could try. But I suspect they will not believe us until they understand us better. What the humans did not realize was that their casual attitude toward impossible technology made them seem even more dangerous to galactic observers. A species that treated reality manipulation as routine maintenance was either incredibly advanced or incredibly reckless. Either possibility was frightening. The next day brought disturbing news. Long-range sensors detected movement in several void zones. Human ships were emerging from areas that had been considered empty for millennia. How many ships? Demanded Admiral Vesta of the Outer Rim Fleet. At least 50 in our sector alone, reported the sensor operator. Maybe more. They use some kind of stealth technology that makes accurate counting difficult. The humans were not hiding. They were simply existing in ways that galactic sensors could not fully detect. To equipment designed for normal space, void-capable ships appeared as shadows and hints rather than solid objects. Captain Kyung-soo studied the sensor reports with growing concern. They are moving into position around every major world. Invasion. Formation? Asked Admiral Vesta. I do not think so. The positioning is wrong for attack. It looks more like observation. The humans were watching. Dozens of reality-bending ships had moved into positions where they could observe every major galactic civilization, not threatening, just watching. What are they looking for? Admiral Vesta wondered. The answer came from an unexpected source. A message arrived from the dancing bear, transmitted on open channels for all to hear. "Greetings, friends," came Captain Wu Jin's cheerful voice. "We have contacted our colleagues in other sectors. There is great excitement about meeting normal space civilizations. Many of our people are interested in cultural exchange." Cultural exchange. The humans spoke of studying galactic civilizations like anthropologists studying ancient cultures. "We want to assure you that we mean no harm," the message continued. "We understand our technology might seem threatening, but we use it only for exploration and protection. We have never used our abilities to harm peaceful species. Never used their abilities to harm peaceful species. The qualification was not lost on military analysts. We hope to learn much from each other," the message concluded. "Our scientists are very excited about normal space physics. You have developed interesting solutions to problems we solve differently." The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy to contemplate a new reality. They were no longer alone. They had neighbors, incredibly advanced neighbors who lived in impossible places and treated the fundamental forces of the universe like tools. Some saw this as an opportunity to learn and grow. Others saw it as a threat that must be contained or eliminated. But all agreed on one thing: the galaxy would never be the same. In the depths of space, more human ships emerged from void zones, not as conquerors or destroyers, but as explorers meeting new neighbors for the first time. They came with curiosity and wonder, eager to learn about species that chose to live in the rigid confines of normal space. They had no idea that their very existence was reshaping galactic politics and threatening the assumptions upon which entire civilizations were built. The age of first contact had begun, and no one knew where it would lead. Chief Science Officer Tae-min had spent 3 sleepless days studying the data from their meeting with the humans. Every piece of information broke fundamental laws of physics. His scientific worldview was crumbling, and he loved every minute of it. The research fleet had arrived that morning, 12 ships carrying the galaxy's best scientists, all eager to study the impossible aliens. Tae-min had briefed them, but he could see disbelief in their eyes. They would not truly understand until they saw it themselves. "The humans have agreed to another meeting," reported Communications Officer Boram. "They seem excited to show us more of their technology." Admiral Koss, the fleet commander, frowned. "Are they trying to intimidate us with superior technology?" "I do not think so," Tae-min replied. "They seem genuinely curious about our reaction, like children showing off a new toy." That was what made the humans so unsettling. They had technology that could reshape reality, but they acted like it was perfectly normal. There was no arrogance, no sense of superiority. They seemed honestly puzzled that anyone would find their abilities remarkable. The meeting took place aboard the Dancing Bear again. This time, the humans had prepared what they called a technical demonstration. Dr. So Young met them at the airlock. She was younger than Captain Wu Jin, with bright eyes and an eager smile. She looked like a university student, not someone who casually manipulated the laws of physics. "Welcome back," she said cheerfully. "We have set up some equipment to show you how our basic systems work. I hope you find it interesting." She led them to a large chamber filled with devices that defied description. Crystalline structures hummed next to metal sculptures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Energy flowed through the air in patterns that made the scientists' instruments scream warnings. "This is our reality anchor," Dr. So Young explained, pointing to a device that looked like frozen lightning. "It creates a bubble of stable spacetime around the ship." Dr. Velsan, a renowned physicist, stared at the device. "How does it work?" "Simple quantum field manipulation," Dr. So Young replied. "You generate a standing wave pattern that locks local reality into a specific state. The math is a bit complex, but the principles are straightforward." She showed them equations on a display screen. The mathematics were unlike anything in galactic science. They described reality as a fluid thing that could be shaped and molded, like clay. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Helra, a quantum specialist. "These equations suggest that space and time are just suggestions." "Well, yes," Dr. So Young agreed. That is why you need anchors in void space. Without them, you might find yourself existing in multiple time streams at once. Very confusing. She spoke of existing in multiple time streams like it was a minor inconvenience. How did you discover these principles? Taemin asked. Trial and error mostly. Early human explorers noticed that reality was more flexible in certain regions of space. We studied those regions and learned to work with the flexibility instead of fighting it. Dr. So Young led them to another device. This one looked like a sphere of liquid starlight suspended in a cage of impossible angles. This is a probability adjuster, she explained. It lets us influence the likelihood of certain events. What kind of events? Asked Dr. Kelto, a military scientist. Oh, anything really. Equipment failures, navigation errors, hostile encounters. If something has a probability of happening, we can adjust that probability. The implications hit the scientists like a physical blow. These humans could manipulate chance itself. Could you demonstrate? Taemin asked carefully. Dr. So Young looked around the room. Sure, Dr. Velsan, could you flip that coin? Dr. Velsan pulled out a standard galactic credit coin. What result would you like? Let us say, heads 10 times in a row. Dr. So Young touched a control on the probability adjuster. The device hummed softly. Go ahead, she said. Dr. Velsan flipped the coin. Heads. He flipped it again. Heads. 10 times he flipped the coin, and 10 times it came up heads. The odds of that happening naturally were over 1,000 to 1. Impressive, Dr. Velsan said, though his voice shook slightly. But surely this only works on small things. Not really, Dr. So Young replied. The size of the effect depends on how much energy you put into it. We once adjusted the probability of a star going supernova. It was threatening one of our settlements. They had prevented a star from exploding. Casually, like fixing a broken light. We should show them the dimensional folders, suggested a voice from behind them. A new human had entered the chamber. This was Junho, whom Captain Wu Jin had introduced as their security chief. He was a bit older than the others, with calm eyes and steady hands. Good idea, Dr. So Young agreed. Follow me. They moved to yet another section of the impossibly large ship. Here, they found devices that made the reality anchors look simple. These are dimensional fold generators, Dr. So Young explained. They let us access parallel space layers. Parallel space layers? Taemin repeated. Think of reality as having multiple levels, Junho said. Most species only live on the surface level. But there are other layers underneath, with different physical laws. The voids exist where these layers intersect. He activated one of the devices. A section of the wall simply disappeared, revealing a corridor that led away into blue-tinted space. That corridor exists in a parallel layer, Junho explained. Different gravity, different physics. Very useful for storage or avoiding obstacles. Dr. Helra cautiously extended a sensor probe into the parallel space. The readings made no sense. The physics in there are completely different, she reported. Mass behaves like energy. Gravity flows upward. How is this possible? Different layers, different rules, Dr. So Young said with a shrug. You learn to work with whatever physics you find. How many layers are there? Asked Dr. Kelto. We have mapped about 47 so far, Junho replied. But we suspect there are hundreds more, maybe thousands. Hundreds of parallel realities, each with its own physics. The humans had found a way to step between them like walking through doors. Do you use this technology for weapons? Dr. Kelto asked carefully. Junho and Dr. So Young looked at each other. We do not really need weapons, Junho said slowly. If someone threatens us, we just adjust probability so their equipment malfunctions. Or we phase shift their ships into parallel layers where they cannot hurt anyone. What if they have superior numbers? Then we adjust local space-time so their ships cannot find us. Or we temporarily relocate our settlements to safer dimensional layers. They spoke of warfare like a game of hide-and-seek. Has this ever been necessary? Taemin asked. A few times, Junho admitted. There are some hostile species that live in the deep void layers, but usually we just avoid them. Space is big and there are plenty of empty dimensions. Hostile species in the deep void layers. The humans were not the only ones living in impossible space. Could you show us your navigation systems? Requested Dr. Velson. They were led to the ship's bridge where they met navigator Seung-min. He was young even by human standards, but he spoke of reality navigation like an expert. Void navigation is all about reading chaos patterns, he explained, showing them displays covered with shifting mathematical formulas. Every reality storm has a signature. You learn to predict where stable paths will form. The navigation computer was unlike anything in galactic technology. It calculated possibilities instead of distances, tracked probability streams instead of stellar positions. How far can you travel in a single jump? Asked Dr. Helra. Distance is not really the right word, Seung-min replied. In void space, you move between dimensional intersections. We can reach any point in the galaxy in a few days if we know the right probability paths. Any point in the galaxy in days. Travel that took galactic ships months or years was routine for humans. Are there other species that can do this? Tae-min asked. A few, Seung-min said. Most of them are not very friendly, though. They tend to see normal space species as primitive. To void dwellers, the entire galactic civilization was primitive. As the tour continued, the scientists saw more impossible technologies. Temporal stabilizers that could slow or speed up time in localized areas. Gravity manipulators that treated gravity like a fluid. Energy converters that drew power directly from the chaos of broken reality. By the end of the day, the scientists were overwhelmed. Everything they thought they knew about physics had been proven wrong by a species that treated impossibility as engineering. Dr. So-young, Tae-min said as they prepared to leave, would it be possible for you to teach us some of these principles? Human scientist looked thoughtful. I suppose we could start with the basics, but fair warning, the learning curve is very steep. It took us centuries to understand even simple void physics. We are willing to try, Tae-min said. Then we will. Prepare some introductory materials, Dr. So-young promised. Though you might want to warn your colleagues, learning void physics tends to change how you see reality. Some people find that disturbing. As they returned to their ships, the scientists sat in stunned silence. Admiral, Tae-min finally said, we need to completely revise our understanding of what is possible. Admiral Koss looked pale. Are they a threat? I do not think they see us as important enough to threaten, Tae-min replied. To them, we are like children playing with simple. Bo-Ram felt the alien thoughts before she heard their words. As a Syntheran, she could sense the minds of other beings through telepathy. It was a useful skill for a communications officer. Most species had familiar mental patterns: fear, curiosity, aggression. But these humans were different. Their thoughts moved in mathematical patterns, not the simple math that computers used, but complex equations that seemed to bend reality around them. It made her head hurt just to touch the edge of their minds. Commander, Yuki, Bo-Ram said, pressing her fingers to her temples. Their thoughts are unusual. The human ship had reached the edge of the Nexus void 3 hours ago. It sat there calmly while Yuki's fleet kept a safe distance. The dancing bear looked even stranger up close. Its hull seemed to shift colors in the light, and Bo-Ram could swear she saw spaces on the ship that were bigger inside than outside. Unusual how? Yuki asked. They think in ways that should not be possible. Their minds touch concepts that I cannot understand, and they are... Bo-Ram paused, searching for the right words. They are not afraid of anything. That was what worried her most. Every intelligent species knew fear. It kept them alive. But the humans felt no fear of the void, no concern about meeting aliens, no worry about their strange situation. They were as calm as if they were discussing the weather. Incoming transmission, reported the communication officer. Captain Wu Jin's voice filled the bridge. Commander Yuki, we are ready to meet if you are. Should we come to you, or would you prefer to come aboard our ship? Yuki looked at her officers. Standard first contact protocol said to meet on neutral ground. but there was no neutral ground at the edge of the void. "We will send a shuttle," Yuki decided. "Sounds good. We will prepare our docking bay. Oh, and do not worry about the reality flux. Our ship's field will keep you stable." Reality flux. Another casual mention of forces that could tear apart matter. An hour later, Yuki found herself on a shuttle with Boram and Chief Science Officer Taemin. Taemin was a Krellian, a species known for their logical minds and scientific skill. If anyone could understand this human technology, it would be him. As their shuttle approached the dancing bear, Taemin stared at his instruments in confusion. "Commander, this is impossible. According to my readings, parts of their ship exist, in dimensions that do not exist." "What do you mean?" Yuki asked. "Look at these scans. The ship appears to be approximately 2 kilometers long, but my internal scans suggest it has room for a city. The space inside is larger than the space outside." Boram nodded. "That matches what I sense from their minds. They think about space differently than we do." The shuttle entered the Dancing Bear's docking bay through what looked like a simple opening. But once inside, they found themselves in a vast chamber that stretched beyond the horizon. The ceiling was so high it disappeared in misty clouds. "Welcome aboard," came a cheerful voice. A human walked toward them, and Yuki got her first close look at the species. Captain Wu Jin was smaller than she expected, only about 6 feet tall. He had smooth skin, dark hair, and only 2 arms and 2 legs. He looked fragile compared to most galactic species. But there was something in his eyes, a confidence that came from seeing impossible things and making them routine. "I am Captain Wu Jin," the human said with a smile. "And you must be Commander Yuki. Welcome to our ship." "Captain," Yuki replied formally. "This is Communications Officer Boram and Science Officer Taemin. Pleasure to meet you all. I have to say, this is the first time we have had visitors from normal space. Usually we only meet other void travelers." Other void travelers. That suggested there were other species that could survive in the impossible regions. "You mentioned modifications to your ship," Taemin said. He was staring around the massive docking bay with wide eyes. "What kind of modifications?" Captain Wu Jin looked thoughtful. "Well, the basic framework is about 400 years old. Human design, of course. But over the years we have had to adapt it for void travel. Reality anchors, dimensional stabilizers, probability adjusters. You know, the usual stuff." Taemin did not know. None of those technologies existed in galactic science. "Perhaps we could show you around," Captain Wu Jin suggested. "Though I should warn you, some areas might be confusing if you are not used to non-standard space." They followed the captain through corridors that seemed to stretch and bend. Sometimes they walked upward without climbing stairs. Other times they passed through doors that led to rooms bigger than the ship itself. "How long have humans been space travelers?" Boram asked. "In normal space? Maybe 1,000 years. But we moved to the void lanes pretty quickly once we figured out how to survive them. Normal space is so limited." Limited. He spoke of the entire known universe as limited. They entered what Captain Wu Jin called the engineering section. A human woman looked up from a control panel covered in symbols that hurt to look at. "This is Hana, our chief engineer," the captain said. "Hana, these are our guests from normal space." Hana smiled and waved. "Hi there. Sorry about the mess. We are doing some routine maintenance on the reality anchors." She gestured to a device that seemed to be made of crystallized starlight and folded metal. It hummed with energy that made the air itself shimmer. "What exactly does a reality anchor do?" Taemin asked carefully. "Oh, it keeps us tied to baseline reality," Hana explained, as if talking about engine oil. "Without it, we might drift into probability spaces or temporal loops. Very inconvenient." Probability spaces. Temporal loops. She spoke of concepts that galactic science considered theoretical impossibilities. "The anchor also helps with navigation," Hana continued. "Void lanes can be tricky. Reality is not stable in there, so you need something to hold on to." "How do you navigate when reality is not stable?" Boram asked. Hana brightened. "Math. Beautiful, complex math. You learn to read the patterns in chaos. Every reality storm has a mathematical signature. Once you understand the equations, you can predict where stable pockets will form. She showed them a screen covered with equations that seemed to move and change as they watched. The mathematics were beyond anything. In galactic universities, "Who taught you this?" Taemin whispered. "We figured it out ourselves," Hana said proudly. "Took about 200 years of trial and error. Lost a lot of ships in the early days. But once we cracked the basic principles, it became much easier." 200 years of trial and error in regions that killed everything they touched. The human casual approach to deadly danger was starting to become clear. Captain Wu Jin led them to what he called the observation deck. Through transparent walls, they could see the Nexus void stretching away in all directions. Reality storms, twisted through the darkness like living things. "Beautiful, is it not?" the captain said. "We never get tired of the view." To the galactic species, the void looked like a vision of cosmic horror. To humans, it was beautiful. "Captain," Yuki said slowly, "how many human ships are there?" "Oh, thousands, maybe tens of thousands. I do not keep exact count. We are spread pretty wide through the void network. Tens of thousands, an entire civilization living in impossible space." "And you have never made contact with normal space before?" Boram asked. "Never needed to," Captain Wu Jin replied. "The voids have everything we need. Resources, space to grow, interesting physics to study. Why would we want to live in areas where reality is so rigid? Rigid reality." They saw the normal universe as a place where physics was too limiting. "We should probably head back," Yuki said. Her mind was spinning with implications. "Of course. But before you go," Captain Wu Jin looked thoughtful, "would you mind if we visited your space sometime? We are curious about how normal space civilization works." The idea of these reality-bending humans visiting galactic space made Yuki nervous, but she could not refuse without seeming hostile. "We would need to discuss it with our government," she said carefully. "Understood, no rush. We have been waiting this long to meet you, we can wait a bit more." As their shuttle flew back to Yuki's ship, the three officers sat in stunned silence. "Commander," Taemin finally said, "we need to report this immediately. What we have learned changes everything we thought we knew about physics." "What should we tell the council?" Boram asked. Yuki looked back at the dancing bear sitting calmly at the edge of impossible space. "Tell them we have found a species that treats our greatest fears like a scenic route," she said. "And tell them we may not be the most advanced civilization in the galaxy after all." Daeho stared at his screen with wide eyes. The numbers made no sense. He rubbed his tired eyes and looked again. The readings were still there, still impossible. "This cannot be right," he whispered to himself. The Nexus void was supposed to be empty. It had been empty for 10,000 years. Nothing could survive in that twisted space where reality itself broke apart like old cloth. Yet his sensors showed something moving deep inside the forbidden zone. Daeho was a Veltari, a species known for their careful nature and sharp minds. He had worked at the monitoring station for 20 years. He knew every beep and flash of his equipment. He had never seen anything like this. The object was big, maybe the size of a small moon. It was made of metal, but not any metal in the galactic database. The computer kept trying to identify it and failing. Error messages blinked, red across his screen. "Commander Yuki," Daeho called into his communication device. "You need to see this." Commander Yuki was a Theraki, one of the warrior species that helped keep peace in the galaxy. She was 8 feet tall with blue skin and 4 arms. Her people were strong and brave, but also smart. That was why the Galactic Council put her in charge of this sector. Yuki arrived at Daeho's station within minutes. Her heavy boots made the floor shake as she walked. "What is the problem, Daeho?" "Look at this." Daeho pointed at his screen. "There is something in the Nexus void." Yuki looked at the readings. Her 4 eyes narrowed. "Run a diagnostic check. Your equipment must be broken." "I already did, 3 times. The equipment is fine." Daeho's voice was shaky. "Commander, there is really something in there. The Nexus void was a place of nightmares. Long ago, something had happened there that tore holes in space itself. Ships that went too close simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, just gone, as if they had never been built. The area was marked with warning beacons in every known language. Yuki studied the data carefully. She had seen many strange things in her years of service, but this was different. Can you get a visual? Daiho worked his controls. The void interference is too strong, but wait. He adjusted several dials. I am getting something. The main screen flickered. Static filled the air like angry bees. Then slowly an image formed. Both of them gasped. It was a ship. Not like any ship in the Galactic Fleet, but clearly built by intelligent beings. It had a strange, blocky shape with odd angles that hurt to look at. Metal plates covered its hull, but they seemed to shift and move like living skin. Impossible, Yuki breathed. Nothing can survive in the void. But as they watched, the ship moved smoothly through the twisted space. It did not shake or struggle like ships caught in gravity, wells. It flew like it belonged there, like the void was just another ocean. Are there life signs? Yuki asked. Daiho checked his instruments. His hands trembled as he read the results. Yes. Multiple life forms. They seem healthy. That was the most impossible part. The Nexus void did not just destroy ships. It broke down living tissue at the atomic level. Anything with life force that entered the void died in seconds. Yet these readings showed active, healthy biological signatures. What species? Yuki demanded. Unknown. Daiho scrolled through screen after screen of data. The computer cannot identify them. Their biology does not match anything in our records. Yuki stood silent for a long moment. As a military commander, she had to make quick decisions. But this situation was beyond anything in her training. First contact protocols were clear, but they never covered contact with beings that could survive in impossible places. Send a message to the Galactic Council, she finally said. Priority 1. Tell them we have found something that should not exist. While Daiho prepared the message, Yuki studied the ship more carefully. There were markings on its hull, symbols that looked almost familiar. Where had she seen them before? Commander, Daiho called out. The ship is changing course. On the screen, they watched the impossible vessel turn toward their monitoring station. It moved with purpose as if it knew they were watching. Is it heading for us? Yuki asked. Yes. At current speed, it will reach the edge of the void in 6 hours. Yuki felt a chill run down her spine. The edge of the void was still dangerous, but ships could survive there for short periods. If this unknown vessel left the void completely, it would be in normal space, in their space. Get me a communication channel, Yuki ordered. To who? To them. Yuki pointed at the ship on the screen. If they are intelligent enough to build that ship, maybe they are intelligent enough to talk. Daiho worked his controls again. This was another impossible task. Communication through the void was like shouting through a thunderstorm while underwater, but he had to try. The speakers crackled with static. Then, through the noise, came something that made both aliens freeze. It was a voice, clear and calm, speaking in what sounded like an ancient form of galactic standard language. Hello there, the voice said in a friendly tone. Sorry if we scared you. We did not know anyone lived out here. Yuki and Daiho looked at each other in shock. Not only could these beings talk, they spoke in a language they could understand. And they sounded casual, like running into neighbors at a market. This is Commander Yuki of the Galactic Council Defense Force, Yuki said into the microphone. You are in a restricted area. The Nexus void is forbidden to all traffic. There was a pause. Then the voice came back and they could hear confusion in it. Forbidden? Why? It is just a void lane. We use these all the time. Daiho's jaw dropped. Void lane? These beings used the most dangerous regions of space like highways? The void is deadly, Yuki explained. Nothing can survive there. Your ship should have been destroyed. This time there was laughter in the response. Actual laughter, as if Yuki had made a joke. Oh, you must be talking about the reality storms. Yeah, those can be tricky if you do not have proper shielding, but we figured that out a long time ago. Reality storms. They had a name for the forces that destroyed matter and energy in the void, and they spoke of them like bad weather. What are you? Yuki asked. We are humans, the voice replied. From the ship, Dancing Bear. Captain Wu Jin speaking, and you are the first people we have met who live in normal space. This is exciting. Normal space. They called the regular universe, where every known civilization lived, normal space, as if living in the void was normal too. How long have you been in the void? Daeho asked. This trip? About 3 months. But humans have been using the void lanes for, maybe 800 years or so. They are much faster than normal space travel. 800 years. These humans had been traveling through impossible regions for 8 centuries while the rest of the galaxy considered those areas to be death traps. We need to talk, Yuki said. Face to face. Sure, Captain, Wu Jin replied. We can meet at the void edge. Fair warning, though. Our ship might look a bit strange to you. We have had to make some modifications over the years. As if it could look stranger than it already did. We will be there, Yuki said. The communication ended. Yuki and Daeho stood, in silence, trying to process what they had learned. Commander, Daeho said quietly, what if there are more of them? Yuki had been thinking the same thing. If humans had been using the voids for 800 years, they probably had more than one ship. Maybe much more. She looked at the image of the impossible vessel on her screen. It was still moving toward them, calm and steady through space that should have killed everything aboard. Send another message to the council, she said. Tell them first contact protocols are now active. And tell them... She paused, searching for the right words. Tell them we may have found something bigger than we ever imagined.